The Duraxian fleet moved with unnatural precision, their obsidian ships resembling massive insects. Humanity had faced 3 other alien species before, but all had been peaceful encounters. Intelligence suggested the Duraxians had subjugated 2 other spacefaring races already. They're launching fighters, Tactical Officer Commander Hyun announced. Hundreds of them. Energy signatures indicate weapons charging. Captain Juan nodded. Begin avalanche sequence. Target their command vessel. The Titan's fury hummed as its systems initialized. Unlike conventional weapons platforms, the Avalanche system used a synchronized array of quantum-entangled projectiles that multiplied their destructive force exponentially after impact. Humanity never sought this conflict. Juan broadcast on all frequencies. But we will not stand by while our people are threatened. The Duraxian ships continued their advance. Their black hulls absorbed light rather than reflected it, making them look like moving holes in space. The main fleet formed a wedge formation with the largest vessel at the center. No response to our transmission, Taeyong said. They're jamming our frequencies now. Juan gripped the command console. How long until they're in weapons range? 4 minutes, Hyun replied. Our colony ships won't be able to reach the jump point in time. The bridge fell silent. 3,000 colonists were aboard those transport vessels, families who had left Earth to build new lives in the Arcturus system. Now they were caught between their destination and an unknown enemy with unknown intentions. Deploy defensive drones to escort the colony ships, Juan ordered, and bring us about. We'll position ourselves between the Duraxians and our people. Chief Engineer Donghae spoke up from his station. Captain, the Avalanche system is untested against live targets. We don't know if it will work as designed. Then today we find out, Juan replied. The massive battleship turned with surprising grace for its size. At nearly 2 kilometers long, the Titan's Fury was the largest weapon humanity had ever constructed. Its hull gleamed silver against the blackness of space, covered with point defense turrets and sensor arrays. The Duraxian fighters approached first, small, dart-like craft that moved erratically, making them difficult targets. They're employing some kind of stealth technology, said Science Officer Minho. Our targeting systems are having trouble locking on. Juan watched the tactical display as the fighters swarmed toward them. Switch to wide-field defense pattern. Don't try to track individual targets. The point defense systems activated, filling space with a web of energy. 3 Duraxian fighters exploded immediately. Others veered off, but continued their approach from different angles. They're testing our defenses, Hyun said. The main fleet is holding position, watching how we respond. Juan's eyes narrowed. They're gathering intelligence on our capabilities. Standard invasion tactics. Captain, I'm detecting energy buildup in the lead Duraxian vessel, Minho reported. It's massive, nothing like we've seen before. The bridge crew watched as the alien command ship's front section began to glow with pale blue light. The smaller vessels around it moved away, as if giving it space. Evasive maneuvers, Juan ordered. Full power to forward shields. The Titan's Fury banked hard, its engines flaring. The Duraxian weapon fired, a beam of coherent energy that cut through space where the battleship had been moments before. The edge of the beam grazed the ship's shields, making the entire vessel shudder. Shield capacity down to 60% from just peripheral contact, reported Donghae. Whatever that weapon is, we can't take a direct hit. Juan's jaw tightened. Status of the Avalanche system. Charged and ready, Hyun confirmed. But we need to get closer for optimal effect. Then that's what we'll do. Juan's voice was calm but firm. Set course directly for their command vessel. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Captain, Minho began. That puts us in range of their main weapon. Exactly, Juan replied. They'll expect us to keep our distance. We'll do the opposite. Taeyong, send a message to the colony ships. Tell them to make for the jump point the moment we engage. We'll create the distraction they need. The Titan's Fury accelerated toward the heart of the alien fleet. The Diraxian fighters regrouped, forming a screen around their larger vessels. "They're confused by our approach," Hyun said with a smile. "Their formation is breaking up." The massive alien command ship began charging its weapon again. This time, the blue glow was brighter, suggesting even more power. "Avalanche system at full capacity," Donghae reported. "But their weapon will fire before we're in optimal range." Jiwon nodded. Launch disruptor probes, small objects shot from the Titan's Fury, speeding toward the Diraxian fleet. They detonated before reaching their targets, creating electromagnetic pulses that washed over the alien vessels. The blue glow of the command ship's weapon flickered and dimmed. "Direct hit. Their weapon system is temporarily disabled," Minho announced. "All ahead full," Jiwon commanded. "Get us into firing position before they recover." The Titan's Fury surged forward, its engines pushing to maximum output. The ship trembled with the strain. "Diraxian fighters incoming from all directions," Hyun warned. "Ignore them," Jiwon ordered. "All power to the Avalanche system. Target their command ship." The alien fighters began strafing runs against the battleship's hull. Point defense systems took down many, but others got through, their weapons leaving scorch marks on the armored plating. "We're within optimal range," Donghae reported. "Avalanche system locked on target." Jiwon took a deep breath. "Fire." The Titan's Fury shuddered as the Avalanche system activated. From the ship's main forward array, a single projectile launched toward the Diraxian command vessel. It looked unimpressive, just a small silver object moving through space. The Diraxians didn't even try to dodge. The projectile struck the command ship's hull and disappeared. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, points of light began to appear across the alien vessel's surface. 1, then 10, then hundreds, then thousands. "The quantum cascade is working," Minho whispered in awe. Each point of light represented a duplicate of the original projectile, created through quantum entanglement. Each one carried the same destructive potential as the original, multiplied across the target. The Diraxian command ship began to break apart from within, sections of hull peeling away as the cascade reaction continued. No explosion, no fire, just the silent, inexorable disintegration of a vessel that had likely conquered worlds. "The remaining Diraxian ships are falling back," Hyun reported. "They've never seen anything like this before." Jiwon watched the tactical display as the alien fleet retreated in disarray. "Neither have we," she said quietly. "Get me a status report on the colony ships." "They've reached the jump point safely," Taeyong confirmed. "All transports accounted for." A cheer went up from the bridge crew. Jiwon allowed herself a small smile, but her eyes remained fixed on the retreating alien vessels. "They'll be back," she said. "And next time, they'll be ready for us." The Diraxian fighters moved toward the Titan's Fury in perfect formation. They looked like small black needles against the darkness of space. Captain Jiwon watched them approach on the main display. Her face showed no fear, only focus. "How long until they reach us?" she asked. 3 minutes, Commander Hyun replied. "Their speed is incredible." The bridge crew worked at their stations with quiet intensity. They had trained for this moment, but facing an actual alien attack was different from any simulation. "Status of colony ships?" Jiwon asked. Communications Officer Taeyong checked his console. "They're moving toward the jump point, but they're slow. Too many civilians and supplies on board." Jiwon nodded. The colony ships carried over 2,000 people, families who had left Earth for a new life. They had no weapons, only basic shields. The Titan's Fury was their only protection. "We need to buy them time," she said. "Bring us between the Diraxians and the colony ships." The massive battleship moved with surprising grace. Its silver hull gleamed against the blackness of space as it positioned itself as a shield for the fleeing civilians. The Diraxian command ship began to glow with a strange blue light. The smaller ships around it moved away, as if giving it space. "Energy readings off the scale," Science Officer Sujin reported. They're charging some kind of main weapon. Activate all shields, Juwan ordered. Prepare for impact. The blue glow from the Diraxian ship grew brighter. Then a beam of energy shot toward the Titan's fury. It struck the shields with incredible force. The entire ship shook. Shield strength down to 60%. Engineer Jinwoo called out, "One more hit like that, and we're in trouble." Juwan's expression remained calm. Status of the Avalanche system. Charged and ready, Hyun confirmed. But we need to get closer for best effect. Juwan studied the tactical display. The Diraxian fighters were almost upon them, while the main fleet stayed back, protected by their powerful weapon. "They think they can keep us at a distance," she said. "That's their mistake. Set course directly for their command ship. Full speed." The crew looked at her in surprise. "Captain, that puts us in range of their main weapon," Taeyong pointed out. "Exactly," Juwan replied. "They won't expect it. Sometimes the safest place is the most dangerous one." The Titan's fury surged forward, engines at maximum power. The sudden move caught the Diraxian fighters off guard. They scattered, breaking their perfect formation. "The command ship is charging its weapon again," Sujin warned. "Launch disruptor drones," Juwan ordered. Small objects shot from the Titan's fury. They raced toward the Diraxian command ship and exploded before reaching it. The explosions released waves of energy that washed over the alien vessel. The blue glow of its main weapon flickered and dimmed. "Direct hit," Sujin exclaimed. "Their weapon system is temporarily disabled." "Now's our chance," Juwan said. "Get us into firing position for the Avalanche system." The Titan's fury continued its charge toward the heart of the Diraxian fleet. The alien fighters regrouped and began attacking from all sides. Their weapons left scorch marks on the battleship's hull. "Ignore the fighters," Juwan commanded. "Focus all power on the Avalanche system." The ship shuddered as more fighter attacks got through its defenses. "Hull breach on Deck 12, Jinwoo reported. "Emergency systems responding." "We're in optimal range," Hyun announced. "Avalanche system locked on target." Juwan took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth. The Avalanche system had worked perfectly in tests, but it had never been used in actual combat. "Fire," she ordered. There was a slight vibration as the Avalanche system activated. From the ship's main forward array, a single projectile launched toward the Diraxian command vessel. It looked small and harmless, just a silver object moving through space. Projectile impact in 5 seconds. Hyun counted down. The small projectile hit the Diraxian ship's hull and seemed to disappear. For a moment, nothing happened. Then points of light began to appear across the alien vessel's surface. First just a few, then dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. "The cascade effect is working," Sujin said in wonder. Each point of light was a duplicate of the original projectile, created through quantum entanglement. Each carried the same destructive force as the original, multiplied across the target. The Diraxian command ship began to break apart from within, sections of hull peeling away as the cascade reaction continued. "The remaining Diraxian ships are retreating," Hyun reported. "They've never seen anything like this before." Juwan watched the alien fleet scatter in disarray. "Get me a status report on the colony ships." "They've reached the jump point safely," Taeyong confirmed. "All ships accounted for." A cheer went up from the bridge crew. Juwan allowed herself a small smile, but her eyes remained fixed on the retreating alien vessels. "They'll be back," she said quietly. "And next time, they'll be ready for us." As the Titan's fury turned to follow the colony ships, damage reports came in from throughout the vessel. The fight had taken its toll, but the ship had survived its first battle. "Send all data on the Diraxian weapons and ships to Earth Command," Juwan ordered. "They need to know what we're facing." The information would help prepare the rest of humanity's fleet for the coming conflict. The Avalanche system had proven its worth, but it was just one weapon. The Diraxians would adapt their tactics. "Captain," Sujin called out, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the debris of the command ship. Something is still active in there. Juwan frowned. Can you identify it? No, but it's emitting a signal. I think it's a beacon of some kind. They're calling for reinforcements, Juwan realized. She turned to her crew. We need to get back to Earth space immediately. This is just the beginning. As the Titan's fury prepared to jump to light speed, Juwan looked at the remains of the Duraxian command ship floating in space. The battle was won, but the war had just begun. Humanity would need more than one victory to secure its future among the stars. The Duraxian fighters swarmed like angry insects around the Titan's fury. Their sleek black ships fired continuously, but the human battleship's shields held firm. On the bridge, Captain Juwan watched the tactical display with steady eyes. Shield strength at 78%, reported Engineer Jinwoo. They're trying to overwhelm us with numbers. Let them try, Juwan replied calmly. How many fighters have we destroyed so far? 43 confirmed, said Commander Hyun. But they still have hundreds more. The massive human battleship rotated slowly, its point defense systems firing in all directions. Each shot found a target, and more alien fighters burst into silent flame. But for each one destroyed, 2 more took its place. The Duraxians have never encountered serious resistance before, Science Officer Sujin observed. Their tactics show it. They're used to enemies who run or surrender. Juwan nodded. And we're doing neither. A larger explosion lit up the viewport as one of the Duraxian support ships was hit by the Titan's secondary weapons. The alien vessel broke in half, its core exploding outward in a flash of blue energy. Enemy cruiser destroyed, announced Tactical Officer Hyun with satisfaction. That's their second support ship down. The Duraxian commander is getting impatient, Juwan said. Look at how they're repositioning their command ship. The massive black vessel at the center of the alien fleet was indeed moving forward, pushing through its own fighter screen. Its weapons ports glowed with gathering energy. They're preparing to fire their main weapon, Sujin warned. Energy readings are even higher than before. They think their weapon can penetrate our shields where their fighters couldn't, Juwan said. Suwoo, status of the Avalanche Protocol. Weapons Officer Saiwoo checked his console. 87% charged, Captain. Ready in 30 seconds. Hold position, Juwan ordered. Let them come to us. The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. The Duraxian command ship was now moving directly toward them, its size becoming more apparent as it approached. It was at least twice the size of the Titan's fury, its black hull covered with strange protrusions that might be weapons or sensors. 20 seconds to avalanche readiness, Suwoo reported. The Duraxian weapon continued to charge, the glow from its ports now almost blinding. They'll fire before we're ready, Taeyong said. Divert emergency power to forward shields, Juwan commanded. Prepare for impact. The alien beam shot forth, striking the Titan's fury head-on. The entire ship shuddered violently. Warning lights flashed across every console on the bridge. Shields down to 30%. Jinwoo shouted over the alarm sounds. Another hit will break through. Avalanche Protocol at 95%. Suwoo called out. Just a few more seconds. The Duraxian command ship began to charge its weapon again. It moved closer, confident in its superiority. Through the viewports, the crew could now see details on its hull. Strange markings that might have been language or art. Avalanche Protocol ready, Suwoo announced. Target their command ship and fire, Juwan ordered without hesitation. Suwoo pressed the activation sequence. The Titan's fury grew quiet for a moment, as if holding its breath. Then a single projectile launched from the main weapon array. It looked small and harmless as it sped toward the enormous alien vessel. Impact in 3, 2, 1, counted Hyun. The projectile struck the Duraxian command ship's shields. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like cracks spreading across ice, points of light began to appear all over the alien shields. Each point grew brighter, multiplying and spreading. The quantum cascade is working, Sujin said, eyes wide with wonder. What had been a single projectile was now thousands, each one still quantum entangled with the others. Each impact multiplied the force exponentially. The Duraxian shields, which had withstood the weapons of numerous conquered species, could not handle this new form of attack. They collapsed completely. But the cascade didn't stop. The thousands of quantum-entangled fragments continued their work, now directly attacking the command ship's hull. The huge vessel began to break apart from the inside out, great chunks of its structure flying in all directions. Direct hit, Hyun shouted. Their command ship is breaking up. The bridge crew watched in awe as the massive alien vessel came apart. There was no dramatic explosion, just the silent, inexorable disintegration of what had been the center of the Duraxian fleet. Sensor readings confirm no survivors from the command vessel, Sujin reported. Around them, the Duraxian fighter screen fell into chaos. Some ships continued to attack blindly. Others drifted aimlessly, as if waiting for orders that would never come. A few turned and fled immediately. They've lost central coordination, Juwon observed. Their entire command structure was on that ship. The remaining Duraxian cruisers are retreating, Hyun reported. They're jumping to light speed. As the human crew watched, the surviving alien ships disappeared one by one, leaving only drifting fighters and debris behind. Should we pursue? Asked Hyun. Juwon shook her head. No. Our mission was to defend our colony, not chase them back to their territory. Not yet, anyway. She stood up from her command chair and walked to the viewport. The remains of the Duraxian command ship drifted in space before them, the once mighty vessel now reduced to scattered fragments. Begin rescue operations for any colonies that were attacked, she ordered, and scan those debris fields. I want to know everything we can learn about these Duraxians. Captain, Sujin called out. I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the debris. Some kind of signal is being transmitted. Juwon frowned. Can you identify it? It appears to be an automated distress beacon. Very powerful, strong enough to reach far beyond this system. They're calling for reinforcements, Juwon realized. She turned to her crew with renewed urgency. This battle is over, but the war has just begun. We need to prepare Earth and all our colonies. As the Titan's Fury moved to assist the damaged human settlements, its crew knew they had won an important victory. The Avalanche weapon had proven itself beyond all expectations, but they also knew that when the Duraxians returned, they would come in greater numbers and with greater knowledge of humanity's defenses. The real test was still to come. The Titan's Fury drifted in orbit around Earth, its battle scars still visible despite ongoing repairs. Captain Juwon Park stood in the main briefing room of Earth Defense Headquarters, facing the 12 members of the Global Defense Council. Behind her, a large screen showed images of the battle against the Duraxian fleet. As you can see, Juwon explained, pointing to the final moments of the Duraxian command ship's destruction. The Avalanche weapon system exceeded all expectations. Without it, we would have lost not just the colony at Arcturus, but likely the entire system. Admiral Lee, head of the council, leaned forward. Captain Park, your actions saved thousands of lives. Earth thanks you and your crew. Juwon nodded but didn't smile. Thank you, Admiral, but I'm afraid our troubles are just beginning. She pressed a control, and the screen changed to show star charts recovered from the Duraxian wreckage. Red markers indicated systems under Duraxian control. Science Officer Minji and her team have analyzed the data we recovered. The Duraxians have conquered 7 star systems, not 2 as our intelligence initially suggested. Their territory is 3 times larger than we thought. Murmurs of concern spread through the council members. And there's more, Juwon continued. The Duraxians don't just conquer, they harvest. They strip planets of resources, including the technological species that inhabit them. She displayed images translated from Duraxian records, scenes of alien species being loaded onto transport ships, their cities being dismantled piece by piece. These beings aren't taken as slaves in the traditional sense, Juwan explained. They're treated as biological resources. Their bodies are used for medical experiments. Their brains are studied to advance Duraxian technology. Nothing is wasted. The council room fell silent as the implications sank in. How long until they return? Asked Council Member Kim, her voice tense. Based on the distress signal sent by the command ship before its destruction, we estimate 3 months, Juwan replied. And they won't come with just one fleet next time. Admiral Lee stood up. Then we have 3 months to prepare. Captain Park, what do you recommend? Juwan took a deep breath. The Avalanche system worked, but it has limitations. Each firing requires significant energy and cooling time. Against multiple fleets, even our most advanced battleships would be overwhelmed. Are you saying we can't win? Council Member Park demanded. No, Juwan said firmly. I'm saying we need more ships, and we need to take the fight to them before they can organize a full-scale invasion. Outside the headquarters, Earth's cities continued their normal routines. Most citizens had celebrated the news of victory, then returned to their daily lives. Few understood the true danger approaching. In her apartment that evening, Juwan stood at the window, looking out at the lights of Seoul. Her comm unit beeped, showing a message from Science Officer Minji. Captain, I've completed additional analysis of the Duraxian data. You need to see this immediately. Juwan sighed. No rest, even off duty. Send it through. Her screen displayed new information extracted from the alien databases. Minji's face appeared in a small window. Captain, the Duraxians have been watching us for years. They've had stealth probes in our system since before we established the first Mars colony. They know about Earth, our population, our resource distribution. This wasn't a random encounter at Arcturus. It was the first step in a planned invasion. Juwan felt cold despite the warm room. They were testing our defenses. Yes, and now they know about the Avalanche system. They'll adapt their tactics. The next morning, Juwan returned to the council with Minji's findings. The mood was somber as she laid out the evidence of long-term Duraxian surveillance. We need to assume they know everything about us, she concluded. Our defenses, our populations, our vulnerabilities. Admiral Lee nodded grimly. Then we need to know everything about them. Captain Park, we're assigning you to lead a special mission. Take the Titan's Fury and a small fleet to the edge of Duraxian space. Gather intelligence on their homeworld and military capabilities. A reconnaissance mission? Juwan asked. For now, the Admiral replied. But be prepared for more. You've faced them in battle, and won. You know their tactics better than anyone. After the meeting, Juwan walked through the shipyards where 5 new Avalanche-class battleships were under construction. Workers swarmed over their massive frames, rushing to complete them before the Duraxians returned. Engineer Jinwoo met her by the newest vessel, still unnamed. We're implementing the improvements you suggested, he told her. The Avalanche system will recharge 30% faster, and we've reinforced the shield generators. Juwan nodded. Will they be ready in time? The first 2 will. The others, he shrugged. We're working around the clock. Back aboard the Titan's Fury, Juwan found her crew already preparing for their new mission. Commander Hyun was reviewing star charts of the border regions near Duraxian space. I've plotted 3 possible routes, he told her. This one is safest, but will take longest. This one is fastest, but takes us close to what appears to be a Duraxian monitoring station. And the third, a compromise. Medium risk, medium time. Juwan studied the options. We'll take the second route. Time is against us, and I want to see this monitoring station up close. That night, as the Titan's Fury prepared to depart, Juwan received a message from her parents. They lived in a small coastal town, far from the military bases and government centers. We're so proud of you, her mother said, smiling from the screen. Everyone here is talking about how you saved the colony. Be careful out there, her father added. Come home safe when it's over. Juwan promised she would, though she wondered when, or if, this conflict would truly be over. As the Titan's fury broke orbit the next day, Juwan addressed her crew over the ship's comm system. 3 weeks ago, most of humanity had never heard of the Duraxians. Now we face the greatest threat in our history. Our mission is to learn everything we can about this enemy, their strengths, their weaknesses, and hopefully, a way to end this conflict before it becomes a war of extinction. She paused, looking at the faces of her bridge crew. The Avalanche-class ships were built because some of us believed the galaxy might not be a friendly place. Many call us paranoid. Now, those ships may be all that stands between humanity and enslavement. We cannot fail. As the Titan's fury accelerated toward its jump point, Earth grew smaller behind them. Somewhere ahead, beyond the stars, the Duraxians were preparing their response to humanity's defiance. The real battle was yet to come. Admiral Juwan Park stood at the viewport of Olympus Station, watching as the 20 Avalanche-class battleships moved into formation. Each massive vessel gleamed silver against the blackness of space, their hulls marked with the flags of different Earth nations and colonies, but all flew under one unified command, hers. The Duraxian fleet has been detected crossing the outer sensor network, reported Commander Hyun, who had followed Juwan from the Titan's fury to become her chief tactical officer. 87 ships, including 3 command vessels. They'll reach Earth in 6 hours. Juwan nodded calmly. Right on schedule. In the 3 months since the Battle of Arcturus, Earth had transformed. Old rivalries between nations had been set aside. Resources once used for luxury and comfort had been diverted to defense. The Avalanche weapons system, once controversial, was now the centerpiece of humanity's strategy. Final inspection of the fleet is complete, said Engineer Jinwoo through the comm. All ships report ready for battle. Juwan turned from the viewport to face the gathered leaders in the command center. Representatives from every major Earth government and colony stood around the holographic display showing the approaching Duraxian fleet. They've adapted their formation, Juwan pointed out. See how they've spread their command ships throughout the fleet. They learned from our victory at Arcturus. They won't risk losing centralized control again. Will our strategies still work? Asked President Chen of the Asian Alliance. Yes, Juwan replied confidently, because we've adapted too. The Duraxians have conquered 7 systems and subjugated countless species, but none of those species were human. She activated the tactical display, showing the modified Avalanche systems installed on the new battleships. The original system required a direct hit on a single target. The new version can deploy multiple projectiles simultaneously, each one capable of initiating its own quantum cascade. One ship can target an entire enemy squadron. The Defense Council members murmured in approval. Earth scientists and engineers had worked non-stop to improve the technology based on data from the first encounter. Admiral Park, said the Secretary General of Earth United, you have command of the most powerful fleet humanity has ever assembled. Your orders are to defend Earth and our colonies by any means necessary. Juwan nodded solemnly. I understand. But defense alone won't end this threat. She gestured to Science Officer Minji, who stepped forward with a data tablet. Our reconnaissance missions have identified the location of the Duraxian homeworld. Minji explained. It's heavily defended, but not impregnable. More importantly, we've located 4 planets where they're holding captive species, beings they've harvested from conquered worlds. Juwan faced the Council directly. I propose a 2-part strategy. First, we defend Earth and destroy this invasion fleet. Then we take the fight to them, not to conquer, but to liberate. The room fell silent as the leaders considered her words. You want to free the subjugated species? Asked the Mars colony representative. Yes, Juwan confirmed. Not just for moral reasons, though those are compelling. Each species the Duraxians have conquered could become our ally. Together, we could end the Duraxian threat permanently. After brief deliberation, the Council approved her plan unanimously. As they filed out to prepare their populations for the coming battle, Juan remained at the viewport, watching her fleet. "You don't seem nervous," observed Minji, who had stayed behind. "I am," Juan admitted, "but I'm also confident. 3 months ago, we faced an enemy we knew nothing about, with untested weapons and unprepared defenses. We still won." She turned to face her friend and colleague. "The Duraxians think they're coming to harvest Earth. Instead, they'll find that humans aren't so easily conquered." 6 hours later, the Duraxian fleet emerged from lightspeed at the edge of the solar system. Their black ships moved in perfect formation, approaching Earth with the confidence of conquerors who had never known defeat. Except once. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of the Titan's Fury, now the flagship of Earth's defense fleet. Around her, the crew worked with quiet efficiency at their stations. "All ships report ready," said Commander Hyun. "The colony defense forces are in position as well." Juan nodded. "Open a channel to the Duraxian fleet." When the connection was established, she spoke clearly and calmly. "Duraxian Command, this is Admiral Juan Park of Earth. 3 months ago, you attacked our colony at Arcturus, believing us to be easy prey. You were wrong. Today, you threaten our homeworld, making the same mistake. I offer you one chance to withdraw and negotiate peace. Otherwise, we will defend ourselves with all necessary force." The response came quickly, a series of harsh sounds that the translation system converted to words. "Humans, your resistance is noted and categorized. Your defiance is irrelevant. Your species will be harvested. Your technology will be absorbed. Surrender now for more efficient processing." Juwan's expression hardened. "I expected nothing less. All ships, battle formation Delta. Prepare avalanche systems for simultaneous deployment." The Earth fleet moved with precision, spreading out to face the advancing Duraxians. On planets and stations throughout the solar system, humans watched the sensor feeds, holding their breath. "They're launching fighters," reported Hyun. "Thousands of them." "Let them come," Juwan said. "Activate point defense systems, but hold the avalanche. Wait for their capital ships to commit." The Duraxian fighters approached like a black cloud. Behind them, the larger vessels began to move forward, their weapons charging. "Now," Juwan ordered. 20 avalanche systems fired simultaneously. What looked like simple projectiles streaked toward the Duraxian fleet. Each one split into dozens more before impact. When they struck the alien ships, the quantum cascade began. Points of light appeared across the Duraxian fleet. First dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. Ships began to break apart from within as the cascade reaction multiplied exponentially. "Direct hits on all targets," Hyun reported, unable to keep the awe from his voice. 80% of their fleet is disabled or destroyed. The remaining Duraxian ships tried to regroup, but they had never faced a defeat of this magnitude. Their formation broke apart as some ships retreated while others pressed the attack in desperation. "Second volley, target the remaining command ships," Juwan ordered. Another wave of avalanche projectiles launched. The results were the same. More Duraxian vessels breaking apart in the silent vacuum of space. Within an hour, it was over. The Duraxian invasion fleet had been reduced to scattered debris. A few ships had escaped to light speed, but they would carry word of a defeat unlike any in their history. As the Earth fleet regrouped, cheers erupted throughout the solar system. Humanity had defended its home. But Admiral Park wasn't celebrating yet. She gathered her commanders on the Titan's Fury. "This victory buys us time and security," she told them. "But the Duraxians still control 7 systems and hold countless beings captive. Our next mission begins tomorrow. We take the fight to them." She displayed the coordinates of the first target, a Duraxian processing facility where captive species were held. "We're not conquerors," she reminded them. "We're liberators, and by the time we're done, the galaxy will know that humanity stands against tyranny, wherever we find it." The next day, as the Avalanche fleet prepared to depart, messages of support flooded in from every human settlement. For the first time since learning of the Duraxian threat, people felt something beyond fear. They felt hope. Admiral Juwan Park stood on her bridge, watching Earth grow smaller behind them. The war was just beginning, but its nature had changed. Humanity was no longer fighting just to survive. They were fighting for a better galaxy, and she would lead them to victory.